If you cast your mind back across a whole bunch of episodes, we've covered loads of ways that businesses and entrepreneurs measure performance, such as sales, profit, gross margin, net margin, and even customer acquisition cost. But critical in business is setting a small number of the right objectives to ensure that you can measure and track the development of your business in the best possible way. To start with, it's important to know that objectives are best divided into two main categories: financial objectives and non-financial objectives. Financial objectives, as the name suggests, relate to finance, the level of sales, the level of profit, the level of net assets within your business. Non-financial objectives include things like customer satisfaction scores, the number of customers you may have acquired in a week, or even the number of people that are working for you. Non-financial objectives will often relate to the purpose of your business. And if you take your minds back to it where we were talking about purpose and the requirement to balance purpose with profit, now is a great time to start thinking about how that balance is set by fixing the right objectives. It's all about setting objectives early and then constantly reviewing and maybe changing them as your business grows and evolves.
Yes, we do set objectives. We have quarterly objectives in our business, and our employees also have monthly objectives to meet.
So at Lola's, our retail stores have a sales target, and that's what their objective is. They're trying to make sure that every day they hit those sales. Now, from there are other objectives. We want to have happy customers that love our product. So as a business, you might have a couple of KPIs, key performance indicators, that might be, do we have happy customers? Are our sales on target? But beneath that, there might be other objectives. Are we developing? Are we improving our sustainability goals as a business? And those are some of the goals that we have. So we want to have a greener, a lesser impact on the planet. It's not one of our KPIs, but it's certainly up there, things that we're focusing on.
It's really important to keep the KPIs simple so that you can easily remind yourself and everyone in the business can remember what those things are.
Setting objectives in the business at the moment really depends on the stage of the business, especially when much earlier stage when things are changing on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we set daily objectives, but sometimes we can go weeks without it, depending on the key performance indicators at that time.
So absolutely, we set and look at our objectives every month.
In terms of the actual wording of your objectives, there's a way to do it that a few of you may have heard of before, and it's called SMART. Setting SMART objectives refers to setting objectives that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Specific means that your objective needs to include a certain amount of detail so that everyone knows what the objective is and it's not in any way unclear. So in Jameson's Yummy Paws pet food business, having an objective of increased customer rating could be changed to something more specific, like increase the Google rating of my Yummy Paws product from 4.5 to 5. Writing an objective like this isn't vague in any way, and it is very specific, so it would definitely meet the S for specific principle. In terms of being measurable, you need to make sure that any objectives you set are actually measurable. Looking at Jameson's objective here, it is measurable, as it refers to the 4.5 and 5, which are numbers that can be measured. His original objective of increasing customer satisfaction is not measurable, but by introducing the Google score of 4.5 moving to 5 immediately makes it measurable. The A in SMART stands for achievable, and that's all about being sensible. Yep, dreaming big can be a great skill in business when you're ideating and starting up, but for objective setting, you need to be sensible and not let your imagination get carried away. In Elijah's car washing business, he initially had grand plans of becoming enormous overnight, and at one point he was actually thinking of setting an objective to wash 1,000 cars in 1 week. That would have been a ridiculous expectation and an overly aggressive objective. Jameson's objective of moving a Google score from 4.5 to 5 seems very achievable. although he'll have to get rave reviews from almost all his customers, so pressure's on. The R in SMART stands for relevant, meaning your goals should make sense for what you're trying to achieve. If your goal is to improve the quality of your product, and your purpose is around the environment, it simply wouldn't make sense to include objectives that relate to non-related things. No good having an objective relating to how many dogs you rehome if it's all about saving the trees. That wouldn't be right, would it? And finally, the T in SMART is all about your objectives being timely. It's a pretty easy one to think about, and it's just making sure that your objectives include some form of reference to time. Jameson's objective of improving his Google rating from 4.5 to 5 could immediately be made timely by including the wording, by the end of March. When you're thinking of setting objectives for your business, make sure you follow these SMART principles, and that will really keep you on track. And it's important for a business to have a number of SMART objectives, as it will make sure that you cover all of the key areas in your business with some form of objective.
One of our objectives is number of distribution points. So as an example, Coop has 3,000 stores, we are in 500. So our goal is to get that to 1,000 stores and then 2,000 and eventually to over number of stores across the UK.
Well, our first SMART objective is to sell £500,000 worth of our nationwide postable products by the end of the year. And our second objective is to open a store in the next 30 days.
Key performance indicators, or KPIs, are ways to measure whether or not you've hit your objectives or not. In Jameson's Yummy Paws business, the Google score was his KPI. It was the number that allowed him to determine whether or not he'd met his objectives. If you set your KPIs correctly, it will be easy to see which objectives you're achieving and which ones you're falling short on. That will help you identify problems and make changes in your business to fix them at the right time.
Oh yes, all the time. I always think does the sales every year, but then every now and again you have an amazing year where something really big comes out of the blue, and then the next year you think you're going to repeat that, but that's not always the case.
Definitely. When we do our strategy and planning for the year, there's 3 pages of things we want to do, and by the end of the year when we review them, we haven't necessarily hit all of them. That's okay. Some we might roll forward to the next year, others we think, they weren't so good anyway.
Yes.
Pretty much every objective we set in the business, we come nowhere near, and that's because I'm ever the optimist within businesses.
There's a great way of working out which KPIs to use. Imagine yourself on a desert island, totally cut off from anything at all to do with your business. Imagine yourself there, on the island, and granted the opportunity to see 5 numbers, and only 5 numbers, that relate to your business, which would allow you to see how your business is performing. Jameson sat down and did exactly that. He imagined himself in a desert island with his Yummy Paws business continuing to run back at home. He sat back and thought of the 5 key numbers, or KPIs, that he would like to know. The amount of cash he has in the bank account, the number of bags of dog treats sold in the week, the number of new customers he sold to in the week, his profit for the week, and his Google review scores. For each of these key performance indicators, or KPIs, Jameson will set SMART objectives, and in doing so, he can review how he meets or misses his targets going forward. Jameson sets his 5 objectives and follows SMART principles. Have more than £80 in the bank at the start and the end of the week. Sell more than 5 bags of Yummy Paws dog treats in a week. Sell to more than 5 new customers in a week. make a profit of more than £6 in a week, and increase the Google rating of the yummy paws dog treats on Google to 5. KPIs should be thought through carefully. There's a lot of areas of the business that need to be measured and managed, some of them financial and some of them non-financial.
Okay, well, if I was on this desert island, I'd first of all want to know my sales, so I know how my business is performing, how the customers were spending. I'd then want to know what my costs are, what we were spending as a business, and that would help me understand. I need to know what our P&L is, our profit and loss. Is the business making money or losing money? And I think as part of that whole thing, my fourth thing I want to know is, are my customers happy? My Trustpilot rating, my satisfaction rating. I'd want to see reviews of our customers to know that the business was still doing a great job.
Number 1, how many clients did we get? Number 2, how many of those clients actually converted into actual campaigns? Number 3, how many creators did we onboard? Number 4, how much profit did we make?
Ash, money that's owed to you, money that you owe, and what you've got coming up with your sales.
Monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue, retention, and daily active users.
KPIs, revenue and cash. If the business is balanced enough weekly, if I know what's coming in the future and what is in this week, then I think that's good enough for me.
So on a desert island, if I had to choose 4 KPIs, I'd probably choose first one being cash in the bank, second one being the number of new memberships onboarded, thirdly is some metric around member happiness and general engagement, and the fourth one is probably internally for the team, so how happy and productive are the team.
And finally, you should be aware that objectives and the related KPIs will change over time. Good entrepreneurs will factor in the need to change objectives and the KPIs as the business evolves. It's a really good practice to review your objectives and your KPIs every 6 to 12 months, and you'll find that as an entrepreneur, that's what you're doing as you grow your business. And now that you've finished episode 13, you can move on to episode 14, where we're going to cover raising money and where to find it.